Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello learners, I am Dr. Rekha Sharma, former professor UGC Human Resource Development Center, Rashtra Sant Tukaroji Maharaj, Nagpur University, Nagpur. In this video, we shall study structure and composition of millets. The objectives of this video are, after studying this video, the student will be able to explain the structure of millets and will be able to discuss the composition of millets. Now, this year 2023 is known as International Year of Millets. India celebrated 2018 as the Year of Millets. The year 2023 has been declared by the United Nations as the International Year of Millets following a proposal by India. And the proposal was made by India through the efforts of this millet man of India, Dr. Khadar Wali. Resolution adopted by the UN General Assembly on 3rd March 2021 decided to declare 2023 as the International Year of Millets. Millets are collective group of small seeded annual grasses that are grown as grain crops, primarily on marginal land in dry areas of temperate, subtropical and tropical regions. The earliest evidence found in Indus civilization about 3000 BC. Ancient food grains, first plants domesticated for food. These millets are grown in 131 countries and they are traditional food for 59 crores people in Asia and Africa. Now let us see what are millets. Millets are termed as yesterday's coarse grains and today's nutri-cereals. Millets are considered to be future crops as they are resistant to most pests and diseases and adapt well to the harsh environment of the arid, semi-arid regions of Asia and Africa. Millets are a group of small grained cereal food crops which are highly tolerant to drought and other extreme weather conditions and are grown with low chemical inputs such as fertilizers and pesticides. Most of the millet crops are native of India and are popularly known as nutri-cereals as they provide most of the nutrients required for the normal functioning of the human body. They need 70% less water than rice. They grow in half the time of wheat. Millets need 40% less energy in processing. Millets are hardy crops that can withstand extreme heat conditions. Millets formed 20% of our food grains till the 1965 to 70. But now the millets basket are now down to 6%. Millets as a part of daily diet is not new to India. Millets had been the major staple food in central India, southern India, hilly regions of Uttarakhand for centuries till the time of the Green Revolution which has started in 1960s. After the advent of high-yielding varieties of rice and wheat during 1970s, millet got sidelined from food baskets. Reason is the lack of awareness about the nutritional benefits and the not so sumptuous taste and tag of a poor man's food. The Green Revolution resulted in high consumption of polished rice and refined wheat flour. And the millet was a part of our grandparents' diet. It's only in the past few decades that their consumption has reduced. This is the global scenario of production of millets. The highest production you can see it in Africa, where the production is 423 lakhs ton, and the lowest production is in Australia and New Zealand, where the production is 12 lakhs ton. Now, this chart shows the percent contribution to total millets produced. Bajra has 60.5% of share, Jawar 26.6% share, Ragi has 10.9% share, and small millets 1.9%. India produces 80% of Asia's and 20% of global production, and global average yield is 1229 kg per hectare, and India has 1239 kilogram per hectare. Now, let us study the classification of millets. Now, according to the production of these millets have been classified as major millets and minor millets. Major millets include sorghum, that is jawar, and pearl millet, that is bajra. Now, minor millets includes finger millet, proso millet, little millet, foxtail millet, barnyard millet, and kodo millet. Now, the third group of millet is pseudo millets. Pseudo millets are so called because they are not part of Poaceae botanical family, to which true grains belong. However, they are nutritionally similar and used in similar ways to true grains. And the examples are amaranth, that is known as ramdana or rajgira, and buckwheat, which is known as kuttu. Now, let us study these millets in bit detail. Now, let us study these millets in detail. We'll start with major millets. It includes jowar and bajra. So, sorghum, that is jowar. So, sorghum is a warm season crop, intolerant of low temperatures, but fairly resistant to serious pests and diseases. It is known by a variety of names such as great millet and guinea corn in West Africa, Asia, and parts of Middle East. Most of the sorghum produced in North and Central America, South America, and Oceania is used for animal feed. Sorghum is the fourth most important food grain in India after rice, wheat, and maize in terms of area and production. The grain consists of naked caryopsis made up of a pericarp, endosperm, and germ. In waxy varieties, the starch is principally in the form of amylopectin with very little amylose. Such starches possesses special viscosity characteristics. It has a wide range of uses. It includes human food, animal feed, and the production of alcoholic beverages and biofuels. There is a huge range of physical diversity. Sorghum are classified into 4 groups. First is grain sorghum. Second is forage sorghum glum. Third is grass sorghum or Sudan sorghums. And fourth is broom corn. Now, pearl millet, also known as bajra. Pearl millet originated in central tropical Africa and is widely distributed in the drier tropics and India. It is introduced into the western states in the 1850s and became established as minor forage in the southeast and Gulf Coast states. It is well adapted to growing areas characterized by drought, low soil fertility, and high temperature. It performs well in soils with high salinity or low pH. Because of its tolerance to difficult growing conditions, it can be grown in areas where other local crops such as maize or wheat would not survive. Now, finger millet or ragi. Finger millet is a cereal grass grown mostly for its grain. The inflorescence is a panicle with 4 to 19 finger-like spikes that resembles a feast when mature, hence the name finger millet. Finger millet is a staple food in many African and South Asian countries. It is readily digestible, highly nutritious and versatile, and can be cooked like rice, ground to make porridge or flour, or used to make cakes. Sprouted grains are recommended for infants and elderly people. It is also used to make liquor known as arake or areki in Ethiopia and beer which yields byproducts used for livestock feeding. Grain is not widely used for livestock. It is primarily a food grain, but it is of lesser quality for livestock than maize, sorghum and pearl millet. Finger millet also forms a major part of the food basket in some states like Karnataka, Telangana and Uttarakhand. Now, minor millets. We will study foxtail millet, kodo millet, barnyard millet and little millet. Now, foxtail millet. Foxtail millet is regarded as a native of China. It is one of the world's oldest cultivated crops. Foxtail millet ranks second in the total world production of millets and continues to have an important place in world agriculture, providing approximately 6 million tons of food to millions of people, mainly on poor or marginal soils in southern Europe and in temperate, subtropical and tropical Asia. It is fairly tolerant of drought. It can escape some droughts because of early maturity. Due to its quick growth, it can be grown as a short-term catch crop. Grain is used for human consumption and as feed for poultry and cage birds. Now next is kodo millets. Kodo millet is widely distributed in damp habitats across the tropics and subtropics of the world. It is an indigenous cereal of India and is grown today in Uttar Pradesh, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. This cereal is also known as varagu, haraka and arakalu. It forms the mainstay of the dietary nutritional requirements. It contains high protein 11%, low fat 4.2% and very high fiber 14.3%. Now next is little millet, also known as kutki or shavan. Little millet was domesticated in India. It is grown throughout India to a limited extent up to altitudes of 2100 meters, but is of little importance elsewhere. The seeds are smaller than those of common millet. The grain is round and smooth, 1.8 to 1.9 millimeter long. It can withstand both drought and waterlogging. It is a reliable catch crop in view of its earliness and resistance to adverse agroclimatic conditions. Stover is a good fodder for cattle. Now proso millet, also known as china or barri. Proso millet is an annual grass. The origin goes back in history at least as far as 2000 BC, when it is reported to have been grown in the central regions of Europe. a relatively low demanding crop and diseases aren't known. Hence, proso millet is often used in organic farming systems in Europe. In the United States, it is often used as an intercrop. Its superficial root system and its resistance to herbicide residue make proso millet a good intercrop between two water and pesticide demanding crops. The stubbles of the last crop by allowing more heat into the soil, resulting in faster and earlier millet growth. Now, barnyard millet, or known as sanva. Barnyard millet is a multi-purpose crop which is cultivated for food and fodder. It is called by several other names like Japanese barnyard millet, Oda, Odalu, Savan, Sanva and Sanwang. Nutritionally too, it is a good source of protein which is highly digestible and is an excellent source of dietary fiber with good number of soluble and insoluble fractions. Now pseudo millets. Now here we will study amaranth, that is ramdana or rajgira, and buckwheat, which is also known as kutu. So amaranth or ramdana or rajgira. Several amaranth species are useful as food crops and are grown both for their leaves and for their edible seeds, which are nutritious pseudo-cereal. They are non-grass seeds used like cereal grains. Amaranths typically produce high yields of leaves and seeds, are easy to grow and harvest, and are simple to cook. The plants hold promise as potential alternative crops. The nutty tasting seeds can be popped, cooked into a porridge or ground into flour for use in baked goods, typically mixed with grain flour. Now buckwheat or kutu. Botanically, buckwheat is not a cereal but the fruit of Phagopyrum esculentum. Name is probably derived from its resemblance to beech nut. It is believed to have originated in China. It can be grown on wide range of soils and a crop can be obtained within 10 to 12 weeks of sowing. The seed is dark brown in color and often triangular in shape. A white flour can be obtained from the seeds. Buckwheat cake and pancakes are popular in certain areas, and buckwheat meal is also used in animal feed. The whole seed may be fed to poultry and game birds. Now Shri Dhanya. Dr. Khadarwali calls 5 millets as Shri Dhanya, which includes kodo millet, foxtail millet, barnyard millet, brown top millet and little millet. These are known as Shri Dhanya. Now Shri means wealth and health is wealth. Now let us study the structure of millets. Now the basic structure of grain is almost identical in all millet types. Similar to other grains, millet consists of a pericarp, an endosperm and germ. The pericarp is the outermost layer that surrounds the endosperm and germ of the seed. Millets can be divided into two types of seeds, utricles and caryopsis. In the utricle, the pericarp surrounds the seed like a sac, but it is attached to the seed at only one point. Finger millet, proso and foxtail millets are utricles. In these millets, the pericarp usually breaks away from the seed coat or testa, which is well developed, thick and forms a strong barrier over the endosperm. In caryopsis, the pericarp is completely fused to the seeds. Pearl millet, fonio and Teph are caryopsis. The endosperm comprises the majority of the kernel weight for all the millets. This is endosperm. There are four structural parts of the endosperm: the aileron layer, the peripherals, and corneous and flowery endosperm areas. This is endosperm. This part is flowery endosperm, and the outer endosperm is glassy endosperm. All millets have a single layer of aileron that completely encircles the endosperm. This is the aileron layer. The dark layer you can see. This is aileron layer. All millets have a single layer of aileron that completely encircles the endosperm. The aileron cells are rectangular with thick cell walls, and they contain protein, oil, minerals and enzymes. The texture of the millet kernel is controlled by the size of the flowery and corneous endosperm. More flowery than corneous endosperm is found in soft textured kernels. However, solid kernels have more thickly filled corneous endosperm. Endosperm of the finger millet is equally divided between the corneous and flowery areas. These types of endosperm are known to have an in-between texture. In pearl millet, wide variations in kernel textures may be flowery, very soft, corneous and very hard endosperm. There are higher flour yields when dry milling corneous as opposed to soft floury kernel types. Cultivars with high amounts of corneous endosperm are preferred for making thick porridge. The flour produced from soft endosperm is greatly desired in making either fermented or unfermented bread. With animal feeding, an intermediate texture is preferred over the corneous and floury texture as it increases the starch digestion. Millet has comparatively larger germ as compared to other cereals, thus reducing the amount of starchy endosperm. This is the germ area. The embryo of finger millet is in a depression enclosed by a distinctive crest, and the hilum is located adjacent to the germ. The fine structure such as pericarp thickness and germ to endosperm ratio varies significantly among varieties. The relative distribution of the pearl millet is 8.4% of the pericarp, 75% of the endosperm and 16.5% of the germ. The proportion of the pearl millet's endosperm to germ is about 4.5:1 and 8.4:1 in sorghum. The ratio is smaller in finger millet because of its small germ, that is, the endosperm to germ ratio is 11:1 to 12:1, which is more than sorghum and pearl millet. Now, composition of millets. So, this is the nutritional profile of millets in comparison with cereals per 100 gram. Now, here you can see the nutritional values of rice, wheat and maize as compared to these millets. Now, you can compare this energy, protein, carbohydrate, starch, fat, dietary fiber, minerals, calcium and phosphorus content. So, from the next slides, we will see the difference in the nutritional content of these millets. Now, starting with sorghum or jowar. In the sorghum endosperm, the protein soluble in hot 60% alcohol called caffeine constitute the major portion of the protein, which has the unique feature of lowering digestibility upon cooking. Millet germ oil is similar to corn germ oil. Its major fatty acids are palmitic, stearic, and particularly oleic and linoleic. The plant has a high nutritional value as it is rich in essential nutrients. Sorghum contains about 10% protein and 1.9% lipids. It is rich in fiber, thiamine, riboflavin, folic acid, and beta carotene. It is rich in potassium, phosphorus, and calcium with sufficient amounts of iron, zinc, and sodium. Now, pearl millet. Pearl millet contains considerably high proportions of proteins, that is 12 to 16%, as well as lipids, that is 4 to 6%. It contains 11.5% of dietary fiber and it increases transit time of food in the gut, hence reduce risk of inflammatory diseases. The niacin content is higher than all other cereals. It also contains folate, magnesium, iron, copper, zinc, and vitamin E and B complex. It has high energy content compared to other millets. It is also rich in calcium and unsaturated fats, which are good for health. Now, finger millet. It contains lower levels of protein, about 6 to 8%, and fats, 1.5 to 2%, carbohydrates, 65 to 75%, dietary fiber, 15 to 20%, and minerals, 2.5 to 3.5%. It is richest source of calcium. It contains about 300 to 350 milligrams per 100 gram, which helps in strengthening bones. It is an excellent source of natural calcium for growing children and aging people. Consumption of ragi or finger millet helps in development of bones in growing children and in maintenance of bone health in adults. It prevents diseases such as osteoporosis and could reduce risk of fracture. It contains an amino acid called tryptophan, which lowers appetite and helps in keeping weight in control. It is digested at a slower rate, thus keeps one away from intake of excessive calories. Also, fibers present in ragi give a feeling of fullness, thus controls excessive food consumption. The grains have excellent malting properties and are widely known for its use as weaning foods. It has high antioxidant activity as it contains phytates, polyphenols, and tannins. Now, foxtail millet or kakum. It is high in carbohydrates. It has double quantity of protein content as compared to rice. It contains minerals such as copper and iron. It provides a host of nutrients and has a sweet nutty flavor, the most digestible and non-allergic grains. Now, kodo millets. It is rich in B vitamins, especially niacin, B6 and folic acid, as well as the minerals such as calcium, iron, potassium, magnesium and zinc. It is very easy to digest and it contains a high amount of lecithin and is excellent for strengthening the nervous system. It contains no gluten and is good for people who are gluten intolerant. The regular consumption of kodo millet is very beneficial for postmenopausal women suffering from signs of cardiovascular diseases like high blood pressure and high cholesterol levels. Now, lentil millet. Lentil millet is high in iron content and has high antioxidant activity. It is reported to have 37 to 38% of dietary fiber, which was once considered as anti-nutrient and is now termed as a nutraceutical. It has hypoglycemic and hypolipidemic effects and promotes health in diabetes, cardiovascular disease, GI diseases, cataracts and cancer. Now, prosomillet. The health benefits of prosomillet come from its unique properties. It has significant amounts of carbohydrates and fatty acids. It contains the highest amount of proteins, 12.5%. It is a cheaper source of manganese as compared to other conventional sources like spices and nuts. It contains high amount of calcium, which is essential for bone growth and maintenance. It reduces cholesterol levels and also reduces the risk of heart disease. On feeding prosomillet, improved plasma levels of adiponectin, high density lipoprotein cholesterol in genetically obese type 2 diabetic mice under high fat conditions were observed. It also contains 29 milligrams of polyphenolics per 100 gram, which act as an antioxidant. It is a rich source of B vitamins, especially vitamin B6 and folic acid, so it helps in preventing anemia. Health promoting phenolic compounds contained in the grains are readily bioaccessible and their high calcium content favor bone strengthening and dental health. Now, barnyard millet. The carbohydrate content is low and slowly digestible, which makes the barnyard millet a nature's gift for the modern mankind who is engaged in sedentary activities. The major fatty acid is linoleic acid, followed by palmitic and oleic acid. It also shows a high degree of retrogradation of amylase, which facilitates the formation of higher amounts of resistant starches. Hence, it can be potentially recommended for the patients with cardiovascular disease and diabetes mellitus. It is most effective in reducing blood glucose and lipid levels. Now, buckwheat. It contains protein 13 to 15% and is rich in amino acid lysine. It is rich in carbohydrates, mainly starch. It contains vitamin B1, C and E. It is rich in polyunsaturated essential fatty acids such as linoleic acid. It contains higher levels of zinc, copper and manganese than other cereal grains with higher bioavailability. It is high in soluble fiber. It is a rich source of polyphenol compounds. It contains rutin, a bioflavonoid thought to help control blood pressure and possesses anti-inflammatory and anti-carcinogenic properties. Now, amaranth. It has high protein content 13 to 14% and carrier of lysine, an amino acid that is missing or negligible in many other grains. It consists of 6 to 9% of oil, which is higher than most other cereals. Amaranth oil contains approximately 77% of unsaturated fatty acids and is high in linoleic acid. It is high in dietary fiber. It is high in iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium and appreciable amounts of calcium. It is a rich dietary source of phytosterols with cholesterol lowering properties. It contains a leucine like peptide and other bioactive peptides which are thought to have cancer preventing and anti-hypertensive properties. Now, let us summarize. Millets are a traditional staple food of the dryland regions of the world. In India, millets are grown on about 17 million hectare with annual production of 18 million tons and contribute 10% to the country's food grain basket. They are termed nutri-cereals and are known to have high nutrient content, which includes protein, essential fatty acids, dietary fiber, B vitamins, and minerals such as calcium, iron, zinc, potassium, and magnesium. It also contains nutraceuticals. However, the direct consumption of millet as food has significantly declined over the past 3 decades. The major reasons of the decrease in consumption are the lack of awareness of nutritional merits, inconveniences in food preparation, and lack of processing technologies. These are the references. With this, we have come to an end of the lecture on structure and composition of millets. Thank you.